with like little special effects and bling, boing, bling. Yeah, tune sound.
Tink, 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 like that.
This is definitely how we're starting.
Hello and welcome to the Asylum. I am your host, Dom, and with me today, as almost always, is Jeremiah. Jeremiah?
Hello. And this time I'm not terrified to talk about this movie. I actually watched it.
Yeah, finally, Jeremiah has held up his side of the bargain. And
it was
watched
one movie,
two,
and there was a legit reason.
2 movies. Actually, 3. This is the third movie.
Well, no, one of them was a legit. One of them was my wife said, "Don't." No, I'm not watching that.
Yeah, I mean that's fair, but you still skipped out on it. The other one, I believe, was Haunting Winchester House, if I remember correctly. No, it wasn't Winchester. It was the other one, Haunting a Whaley.
Oh, well, yeah, both of them. Though I was on vacation.
Vacation.
But this one. Okay, so here's what we found out: Sinister Squad is a spin-off of Avengers Grimm. It takes place in between Avengers Grimm and Avengers Grimm Time Wars. And if we had seen this movie
Time Wars
and knew it was actually connected, Time Wars would have made more. Would have made more sense. Would have been a better movie, but it would have made more sense. Alice would have been introduced, and we would have known what the heck kind of ish was going on. And though it was a different Rumpelstiltskin.
Yeah, I remember specifically when we watched Time Wars that when they were talking about Rumpelstiltskin, Alice said that he was the Lord of the Underworld, and I just was like, that's weird. I don't remember that, and then I just moved on from it. Well, it turns out
he is Lord of the Underworld.
What happens in Sinister Squad? Spoiler: that's the end of the movie. Any questions?
So I will say this. I'm just gonna say this up front. This movie is significantly more entertaining to me than any Avengers Grimm movie was. You know, I did not like them. They had a decent idea, but like the female cast was not good. They were not good. And the best part of the first one was Casper Van Dien. But
Casper Van Dien and the special effects when Lou Ferrigno ran off the building. Let us not forget.
I forgot he was in that movie.
Let us not forget.
But the female leads were not good.
Through a wall and off of a building. All right.
But the female leads were not good.
That is true.
But this movie, they cast Johnny Ray Diaz, who's an Arizona actor apparently, who's in a lot of TV shows. He's been in other Asylum movies. He's been in Grey's Anatomy. He's been in Narcos. He works on TV as Rumpelstiltskin. And I will say, I think I found him significantly more entertaining than Casper Van Dien, because Casper Van Dien is not a comedic actor. He's not. He's serious in pretty much everything he does.
It was a very different interpretation of Rumpelstiltskin. And essentially, it's like the Rumpelstiltskin from Time Wars, but way better done. Way better done. They essentially made Rumpelstiltskin into a Looney Tunes character for this movie. Every one of his movements has a little sound effect. That's what we were doing at the beginning.
and it works. I will say this feels more like a Rumpelstiltskin mischievous person than Casper Van Dien did.
Yeah, because
I love Casper Van Dien.
Casper Van Dien's Rumpelstiltskin was an evil character, an evil mastermind. That's how they wanted to portray him in Avengers Grimm. But then we get Sinister Squad, where it turns out that he was doing multiple things at once, and we kind of get this more comedic, funny villain. He came across as a used car salesman really strongly.
Which, being at Rumpelstiltskin, makes deals with people. It made sense. This is kind of closer to like how Robert Carlyle played him in Once Upon a Time, in which Robert Carlyle's awesome anyway. Like he's great. Like
Robert Carlyle is more in the middle between this one and Casper Van Dien, because Robert Carlyle was definitely more of a serious villain, but at the same time had that comedic side to him. This is like you take away the seriousness from that version and you get this Rumpelstiltskin, which was super enjoyable.
Yeah. And I
And
will
the
say
teeth.
your enjoyment of this movie will utterly, utterly depend on if you like him or not. If you do not like him, you will hate this movie. If you like him, there's a lot to enjoy in this movie. Not that I'm not going to say this is a good movie, but there is a lot of scene chewing that goes on, and
His amazing teeth.
oh,
There's they had a thing for teeth in this movie. I don't know what it was, but Rumpelstiltskin's teeth are just straight up gross in this movie. It's just disgusting. Like Austin Powers' teeth in the first Austin Powers, just nasty. And then we later get introduced to a cannibal witch who I thought was supposed to be the Cheshire Cat. Turns out she's not. She's just
she
some can.
looks like the Cheshire Cat.
But she looks like if you wanted to make a live version of the Cheshire Cat. But her teeth are
Terrifying.
horrifying. Yes, they're just is bad. So anyway, we get introduced to Alice and Looking Glass. And Looking Glass is it's like the Avengers of I don't want to say it's the Avengers of Fairy Tales, but it's Avengers of Fairy Tales. It's ran by Alice. Her number one assistant is the Mad Hatter, and then they take in other fairy tale characters and put them to work trying to protect people. So we get our cast is Alice, the Mad Hatter, who they just call the Hatter, Tweedledee and Tweedledum,
Who are like the guards, but they act like they've
Goldilocks,
never used weapons before, but at the same time they're guarding.
Contralize, Goldilocks, and the Pied Piper, who they just call Piper.
Yep.
And then they're tracking Rumpelstiltskin because Death and a Death cult are doing some shenanigans, and so they're putting together a team of other villains for some reason.
And to be fair, this actually continues the plot point from the first one when the mirror gets broken, and that mirror is apparently from Death, and she only has pieces of it, which I'll also help him give his magic. And so, like, this is an actual time where they make sequels that actually like continue plot points.
Yeah, this sequel, like this actually made sense.
It's like Sharknado, where like Sharknado, has sequels that actually like pull characters and stuff from previous movies into it. Maybe not as crazy, but it Time Wars made no sense, and it's because we didn't see this movie. And I will say the villains that they picked. Well, Rumpelstiltskin. I like Rumpelstiltskin. Gelda is the Queen of Hearts, who is fun with Rumpelstiltskin. They work. Bluebeard, I thought I don't like him. I don't understand him at all.
Bluebeard, it was an obscure choice. I mean, if you're very familiar with Grimm's fairy tales, you would probably know who Bluebeard is.
Maybe I have read a lot of Grimm fairy tales. Like we read them to my kids growing up, and there's like a book. I forgot the series, but Grimm Great and Small or something like that. I've never heard of Bluebeard.
So Bluebeard was a nobleman in Europe who would marry a woman, impregnate her, and then murder her because it gave him power of some sort. That's his story. So the Bluebeard they bring in kind of looks like a pirate, but he's not because, again, Bluebeard was a nobleman, not a pirate. But he's got these magical knives that are imbued with the souls of women that he calls his wife that he can, like, mind control or something. I don't really know. But that's Bluebeard. Then we get the big bad wolf.
And the main bad is Death, who also got the same memo that Johnny Ray Diaz Rumpelstiltskin did.
Yes, baby.
And hams it up.
Yes, done. So if you wanna
Love you.
I'll start that one bit again. So and then you have Death, who is the last main character, who got the same memo that Johnny Ray Diaz did for Rumpelstiltskin and hams it up. Maybe not as much as Johnny Ray Diaz. He doesn't need to.
He's not quite as comedic, but he's still pretty funny. I think for sure my favorite line. So the witch who gets introduced, which we already talked about, her thing is that she is courting Death, like Thanos in the Marvel.
Thanos kept courting. Yeah. I was going to say that.
exactly the same thing. So she is like
In the
killing.
comics, not the movies, guys. If you're
Yeah.
confused, nothing to do with the movie.
So she is killing people and then trying to conjure Death's spirit into them so that she can bang him. So she keeps doing this throughout the movie, into his messengers because they're already prepared. So she like conjures him into a messenger. They're having a conversation, and she starts getting a little frisky on him. And Death is clearly hesitant because he's clearly just using her for whatever his maniacal plan is. But she's getting frisky, and he's kind of like pulling away, but can't really because he knows he can't lose her help. When all of a sudden, out of nowhere, Piper shows up and like tranquilizes her or something. Or no, he shows up and he kills the body that Death is using. And as the body dies, Death says, "I owe you one, Piper," and then he dies, which I thought was just hilarious.
But she is okay. So this movie, essentially, plot is bad guys in this prison. They're trying to get Death to come there, which breaks bad guys out. Bad guys kill lots of people. Death comes in there to kill lots more people, and Rumpelstiltskin tricks Death into basically killing himself and becoming Lord of the Underworld with the Queen of Hearts.
So the explanation is that Death wants the world. He's tired of just being the Lord of the Underworld. So he needs a vessel on Earth. And unfortunately, no vessel on Earth can accept him because of just the sheer amount of power that he has. So it destroys whatever vessel he takes over. So he wants Rumpy to give him his body. And in exchange for allowing him to control his body, Rumpy becomes the new King of the Underworld. So Rumpy then tricks Death.
Rumpy is what the Queen of Hearts calls him.
Rumpy then tricks Death. Also, the captions call him Rumpy. I think it's after she says it the first time. From that point on, the captions say Rumpy. Just FYI.
And they use an awful lot of rhinestones and glitter in this movie as makeup.
But anyway, so when Alice makes a deal with Rumpy to help, she puts a bomb on his hand. He's like, "Hey, I have the control for this."
Like a wristwatch, guys. Like a watch.
Yeah. So she's like, "If we think you're going to betray us, I'm going to blow you up." And like, that's fair. So what he does is he makes the deal with Death. As Death's body transfers or consciousness transfers to his body, Alice blows them up. Boom. Death has been defeated. Now Rumpy is the king of the underworld, which then leads us into Time Wars, where he is once again still the king of the underworld. And I think that's supposed to be the like explanation maybe of why he has a different body, like why it's a different actor in the third one. And it's like, oh, it's because he's taken over somebody else's body to be on Earth, right? But
so this movie has a lot of death in it. You know, some actors get like stabbed quite a bit, eaten quite a bit,
blown up.
There's the cast is tiny. I will say I did feel like it was supposed to be done like 30 minutes before it was actually done. It felt like, oh, the movie's about done, and it's not done.
Well, we still got 20 minutes, so okay. So it was.
Hatter was fun though. Hatter was straight up like a coke addict.
Yeah, he was straight up.
Give me the good stuff. Okay, here we go. Ecstasy.
And then they had the Eyesore on in the underworld.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can't tell, we enjoyed this movie. It's as far as
I enjoyed the side characters. Rumpelstiltskin. I enjoyed Death. I enjoyed Hatter. And we liked commenting on random sexual tension with the big bad wolf and Goldilocks, who apparently want to screw.
Yeah, Goldilocks looked like she was pulled directly out of Sucker Punch with like what she was wearing and with her hair. But at the same time, she looked like a great value Emma Roberts, if that makes sense. But we'll show you pictures.
She looked like what she was pulled from the Sucker Punch audition.
Yeah, exactly.
But all the female leads, Alice is still terrible in this movie. I don't like Alice. Goldilocks is quite terrible. I thought Bluebeard was terrible.
Yes.
Piper really had nothing. He had no like.
Piper was worthless.
Gelda was fun.
There.
I don't know who Caraboss was. Who was Caraboss?
I don't know. Oh, Caraboss is the witch.
Oh, yeah. Big Bad Wolf Really nothing beyond a funny, weird tension. But Tweedledee and Tweedledum were fine. Death was fun. Hatter was fun. Rumpelstiltskin was fun. Gelda was fun. So our half the cast was fun. Who
Yeah.
understood the memo?
So if you couldn't tell, we enjoyed this movie. As far as Asylum goes, it's definitely in their upper tier of
Yeah.
films. But it's not like a you have to see this movie or you're gonna fall apart and your whole life will have no meaning sort of movie. I would put it up there. I think I would put it above Part Two or
Time
Avengers
Wars.
Grim Time Wars. I would put it
That's not
above
high.
that. I would put it below Shark Side of the Moon, and I would put it below Flight World War II. Because I think that of all of the non-comedic Asylum movies we've seen, Flight World War II is probably the best one we've ever seen.
Yeah, because
Uh,
it's like, oh, you showed restraint. Oh, oh,
this
you
one
just
though
focused on characters.
this was another one of those ones where Asylum had a plan. They had the budget for that plan, and for the most part, the actors knew what they were like, what this movie was, and acted accordingly. Whereas a lot of times with Asylum films, either they have a way bigger plan than they have the budget for, or the actors don't realize that they are in some silly knockoff film and are acting wrongly.
I find
Um,
it funny that the tagline for this movie is super bad, but in a good way. I uh, I think that's accurate.
I'll take it. But yeah, that's where I would put it. Obviously, still, Zombies is the greatest Asylum movie ever made. But I would think this is probably number 5 for me. If I was to like tear it out, it'd be like Zombies, Avengers Grimm, Shark Side of the Moon, and then this. But then you have to put Flight World War II in there. And honestly, Flight World War II is probably second or third for best Asylum movies, in my opinion. What about you, Jer?
Oh goodness. If I were to do a tier list of Asylum movies, I'd
I'm
be
going
like
to. At
trash and then
at
like
some point,
watchable.
I'm going to make Jeremiah make a tier video. We're gonna
But it
do
will
it
not
together.
be like S tier, A tier. It'd be like watchable, almost watchable.
Completely unwatchable at the
So
bottom.
here are some photos from it. Okay,
Up
so it's
there,
Rumpelstiltskin.
there's Rumpy.
His eyes are so big. He is a Looney Tunes character.
Fact.
Um, this is
Gelda.
Gelda, who's the Queen of Hearts, who is the Rumpelstiltskin's girlfriend. They flirt all the time, and it's
Yep.
fun. This
Yep.
is Piper,
Who's worthless?
Bluebeard,
Also worthless.
more Rumpelstiltskin. That's Death, our Death
That's that.
cultist. That's the witch,
There's
who's not the
Calabas.
Cheshire Cat.
It's not the Cheshire Cat, but it definitely looks like it. Advertisement.
Um, there's the witch again. Her costume seems to be ever changing throughout this movie.
Well, this was like the
Final
outfit
form
they needed for
costume.
the ritual.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like final form, and it looks like it's just a bunch of fabric that's like, this is all shredded. Good. It's excellent. It'll work.
We pulled this
Rumpel.
out of the shredder right before.
This
There's
is Big Bad Wolf.
once again weird teeth because again, that's like the ongoing thing in this movie.
It looks like the orc teeth they had in Warcraft, which made really good actors have a hard time emoting anything because they put those teeth in. There's Rumpy again.
Grumpy. They haven't shown us a picture with his mouth open so you can show the
Oh,
teeth.
and they give him the Hannibal Lecter mask for a reason, even though he has no magic by this time. So we
Yep.
just joked around that it's because they wanted to cover his teeth. For some reason, they say that's Aaron Moses. That is not Aaron Moses. That is Johnny Ray
Definitely
Diaz.
not. Yeah. There's Big Bad Wolf again, looking sweaty.
There's the cover. It's accurate-ish anyway.
Yeah, I mean, except for Death being in the group. But other than that, yeah. Cover again. There's Goldie. I don't
That
remember
cover's worse.
having gold guns at any point, but all right. Alice versus the Monster Squad. Is that what it said?
Yes. Why? I don't know. That's that. No. See, super bad, but in a good way.
Yeah, that's a fairly accurate movie cover again. Sinister Squad.
This is
Yeah,
such a
see what I was
terrible
talking about?
poster.
She looks like she filled the audition for Sucker Punch, and she's Emma Roberts' like
Stunt double.
stunt double.
Here's the back.
Okay.
I guess this isn't necessarily inaccurate. It just makes it seem like the action is far more interesting than it actually is. The action in this movie really is not good.
There's not a lot of action in this movie. We got very little.
Most of the movie's action. It's just not good action.
But yeah, so that was Sinister Squad. I would recommend it. I recommend the entire Avengers Grimm series. I really enjoy them. Jeremiah has a different opinion, but it's okay to have your own opinion, and it's okay for it to be wrong.
But next time we are watching, we've already rolled, but we are watching the movie that's his tagline, which is "Revenge was never sweeter." It's called Asian Schoolgirls. It is actually a mockbuster of what movie?
Sucker Punch.
Sucker Punch. It is available on Tubi, Crackle, Pluto, everything. It's a bunch of Asian schoolgirls in schoolgirl skirts and Britney Spears tied tops, and hopefully there's lots of cool murder. And
yeah, so we were after the last video. We were sitting around chatting as we normally do after we film, because you guys don't need to listen to our entire conversation, do you?
Yes.
Anyway, we were sitting around chatting, and we were talking about the other Asylum movies that was made by the same director as Snow White, and we were like listing off the ones that I wanted to see, which were number one, Cheerleader Camp. What was the other one?
Well, there was the one that's like might as well be a spoof of Sex Drive.
Yeah. So we were talking about those, and then Jeremiah was like, "Well, what about Asian Schoolgirls?" And I was like, "Of course, I want to see Asian Schoolgirls. Like, have you seen my wife?" And so he's like, "Well, fun fact," and he showed me the picture of the picker wheel, and there it was, Asian Schoolgirls, and I was just like, "It is a gift from God." After having had to watch Snow White by myself, that I get to watch one that I'm actually excited for. Hopefully, it's not like every other Asylum movie that I have been excited for, because every one of them has been.
It will be.
Every Morgan Freeman's voice.
Surprise.
Morgan Freeman's narrator voice. It was.
Little does he know, Asylum does not surprise people.
Good Lord. I mean, they did with they surprised us with Zombies and with this one. We were expecting this one.
I don't think Zombies was a surprise. Like, I'd heard good things about Zombies. I had seen people talk about Zombies. Because in the same vein as Sharknado, and I enjoyed Sharknado enough to watch 6 of those movies willingly.
I was forced.
And then I tried getting Steph to watch them with me. Steph watched the first one after she said, Steph was going, no.
Jeremiah threatened. Jeremiah threatened to fly to Hawaii to shoot me and throw me into a bay if I did not watch the Sharknado movies.
Lies.
Well, on that note, thank you guys for watching this, and we will see you after Halloween. Okay, thanks, bye.